As a Spider-Man fan who grew up in the 70s on those 60s cartoons, the 80s, the 90s, and of course the brilliant early half of the 2000s where we had the Tobey Maguire live-action Spider-Man movies, that was a great time. It was a great time to be a Spider-Man fan. I loved it. I absolutely do. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to say more than once in this video, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, Ben Reilly is Ben Reilly, Miles Morales is just Miles Morales. I am sorry to say that. Of course, I've got to thank Gary from Nerdrotic for coming up with that phrase because it is absolutely true. Like, once you have that particular idea set in stone, you can't go in there and break up the pieces and fix it back together again, because if you do, you just get a complete and utter mess. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, it's this article from Bounding Into Comics. Sony Pictures, they dropped a new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse trailer 12 hours ago. Well, more than that now by the time you see this video. And in that trailer, and I will show you this in a few moments, Gwen Stacy, she has a certain poster in her room, or it's not a poster, it's a statement. Why that statement would even appear there in the first place is anyone's guess at this stage. But honestly, I find this kind of messaging pretty sick and pretty disgusting. And we're going to go to the trailer here. I'm not going to play in full, but you got to check this out. So this is Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman.
There's an elite crew with all the best.
Wow. Check that out. Not only is she black and beautiful, but she's pregnant. And yes, I'm liking the massive afro. That's a great throwback to 70s blaxploitation pictures. But why, oh why, do you need to race swap the character? I don't understand it. Look, I'm not a big Spider-Woman fan anyway. I mean, growing up and being a fan of Spider-Man, I always found Spider-Woman to be a bit of a goofy character. And of course, much later on, you know, for every male version of the hero, you got to have a female version. Superman, Supergirl, Batman, Batgirl, Batwoman. You know, the list goes on and on. But we're going to go over to this mark here in the video, and I'll show you exactly. There you go. Hang on, just had it right here. Protect trans kids. Because, of course, when you're a teenager and before you hit your 16th birthday, you're going to be pestering mommy and daddy to sign their checkbooks and for you to have your gender reassigned, because apparently the good Lord above gave you the goods that you didn't want. You want to be someone else. You want to be something else. So I just find that kind of messaging absolutely abhorrent. Me as a teenager growing up, oh my God, man, I was still into my comics. I was noticing girls for the first time. I was curious by technology and things going on around me. The world news, which was America versus the Middle East and versus Russia and everything else. I wasn't thinking about, well, certain things. Let's just say it that way. So Sony, I have said for the biggest while now that they're definitely going down the woke train. Obviously, we had The Last of Us Part 2, which came out in 2020. That was certainly the start of things to come. And I'll say even before that as well. But it wouldn't surprise me now that when Tom Holland gets a new contract as Spider-Man for Sony, don't be surprised that this type of messaging pops up in those films as well. And then poor Tom Holland will have to stand under the spotlight and just be scrutinized from left to right. It's going to be that. You're going to get the new Uncharted game on Sony, and I'm sure that Cassie Drake is going to have some virtue signal messages of her own. Just for good measure, because, you know, jumping from ledge to ledge and smacking the bad guys around isn't good enough, is it? You've got to bring more nonsense and wokeness into entertainment. Entertainment that we've loved as kids in the 70s, 80s and 90s. It's all getting ruined, but thank God for physical media, folks, because you can go out there, you can buy these things on the cheap or more expensive, and it's yours to keep forever and ever. And when you die, make sure you make a will where you pass it on to your kids and they continue that perseverance of that legacy. But of course, if you just look at the comments below this trailer, 300,000 likes compared to almost 4,000 downvotes. This movie is going to be great. I love how relatable Miles is, like how his parents reacted when he got a B when he said whatever, because that's an overused teenage trope, isn't it? And I've seen the trailer in full. It didn't really blow me away. It's just the same old from the previous Into the Spider-Verse trailer and film, I should say. And look, I did like the first film quite a lot. The whole bagel joke routine was pretty funny. But at the end of the day, I just cannot accept Miles Morales as my Spider-Man. I'm sorry. It is always going to be Peter Parker. It is always going to be people like Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, John Romita Sr. and Jr., who brought that character to life. You know what I mean? And with Miles Morales and those comics, nobody talks about them. Does anybody still discuss how great Into the Spider-Verse is now? Of course they don't. Do they still talk about Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire, how that's an amazing film? Of course they do. They just do, because it's a more relatable character and portrayal for me to latch onto. You know what, folks? It's a sad time in entertainment when I have to sit down and make videos like this. It truly does make me more pessimistic for the future. Sure, there's still a few good things out on the horizon out there, and you've got certain actors and actresses who are going down a different path where they're lining up with filmmakers like Taylor Sheridan and making great content on Paramount. But you know what? The last thing I want to leave you with today, folks, is this great short interview with the greatest comic book artist of all time. That is Jack the King Kirby. And let's just hear what he has to say in this moment right here, because I thought it was awesome.
They would probably come to an army division.
By his own admission, Jack Kirby's superhero creations are so numerous even he can't keep track. After some 40 years at the drawing board and an estimated 40,000 pages of action with such characters as Captain America, Fantastic Four, and the Avengers, Kirby is the undisputed king of comic book superheroes.
What do your characters represent?
Well, the characters represent a sort of a transcendent feeling that we all have inside us, that we could do better. We want to do better. We haven't time to do better. That we can be the people that we lionize.
To anyone passing by...
Well, that's it. What does Jack Kirby say there? You know, it's who, you know, it's how that character, who you like. If it's Falcon, if it's Captain America, if it's Thor, if it's Spider-Man, it's how those characters make you feel about yourself, isn't it? Isn't that just a simple, beautiful message? But no, what do we have now? You take your family to the local cinema, you watch the latest Into the Spider-Verse film, and you're going to have something about protect trans lives, protect trans kids, all the stuff that, you know, when a teenager reaches 18, they can decide for themselves whether they want to transition or stay the way that they are. Be happy with what you've got, and that's going to be it. You know, at some point your cycle's going to end on this earth, and well, whatever happens afterwards, right? Well, folks, that was another very exciting video brought to you today from yours truly. And speaking of which, hello. She doesn't say much, but boy, she sure does look damn good, don't she? And if you enjoyed this video today, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, don't forget to hit the super thanks button if you feel that way inclined. And if I were you, and if you were me, and maybe if you were her, then maybe you should come back and watch the next video.